Because of the way that the viscera, the glands, these little pili, the way that the innervation is going to take place from this system, anything that would cause damage to the way these fibers are going to run will cause that area that it serves to be affected. I know. What did she just say? All right. Let me see what the next slide is. See if it's going to get a little clear. Not yet. So let me try to clear it up. To this point, we have talked about our somatic system. Control, central nervous system. Information went out, went to a skeletal muscle, caused the skeletal muscle to work. This system's fibers. Now, what do I mean by a fiber? What part of the neuron am I referring to?
The axon.
The axon. As my grandchildren would say, guess what?
What?
What? If you look at this right here, okay, and Madeline, can you grab the one that's back there? And y'all three look at it. Nicole, can you grab that one that's back there? And y'all three look at it. And all right, you come over here. Come together. Now, I want you to look at what's running down the side of our vertebra. Can y'all see what looks like it's got these pink areas with the yellow, and it looks like it's making a chain? That's my autonomic nervous chain ganglia. Okay, all right, so where are they exiting from? They're exiting from the areas of my spinal nerves. So they are dependent on a route that comes out with the spinal nerve. But they go to the chain. And it would run both sides. Now let's think back a second to when we were talking about, say for example, spinal cord trauma. So let's say the spinal cord trauma occurred at this level. Is there not chain ganglia still existing? Therefore, damage that occurred would affect that also. And therefore, any parts of the body served by anything below in the autonomic nervous system would also be affected. It's the reason that if there is spinal cord trauma, say for example, someone had trauma at this level of the spinal cord. we know they'd most likely be paralyzed from this area down, okay? That also means most likely any viscera, anything served by the chain from that level down is affected also. Does that make sense? That would be the denervation, okay? Because those nerves are no longer functioning properly. Yes, Mindy?
That doesn't make sense to me because that's what's keeping your organs working even without your knowledge. But if somebody who's like quadriplegic, they've got, you know, from here down or something, yet their organs that are here are still keeping up.
Now, they're keeping up, and depending upon the amount of damage to the chain, because remember, the chain is existing outside that actual spinal cord in the bone. So depending upon the amount of damage.
So it's not that it gets killed from there down as well, it's just going to be affected to some level.
It can be affected, like for example, it can be affected to the point where maybe somebody doesn't always know when they need to urinate.
Okay.
Yeah, like I have a patient that had a really big car accident and now he's having ileostomy and stuff.
You what?
She has like a ileostomy.
Because probably the organs for defecating and going to the restroom, going to the bathroom,
Yeah,
that sort of
mine
thing.
was a bully, too.
Yeah,
Is that just like the bag to?
Yeah, it's like a bag
Touch
of
it.
so.
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I have a question. I got a patient the other day, and I forgot her exact prognosis, but she's compressed on the right side. I mean, her lung, everything on the right side is compressed. Like,
Is she an older patient, younger
she's
patient?
30.
She's 30.
She's 30. There was some. I know she had a history of having a surgery trying to take the tendons out of her knees so that they would be able to move, and it got infected really bad or something. I forgot her exact diagnosis or whatever, but whatever it is, like she's compressed all the way. I mean, completely on the right side, and she has a G tube, and it goes directly into her stomach because like it's no other way.
Because it doesn't function.
You have to like flush her with 30 cc every hour, like just to keep it patent. But I mean, like just to see her like that, it's like how are you even like having oxygen or anything? It's like your lung is compressed.
Yeah, the other lung is compensating.
Yeah, like
Yeah, because one lung, you can function with one lung.
It's just not gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
her
just not
organs
great.
and
It's,
everything on that
huh?
side. Her organs and everything on that side.
Yeah, are compressed. Yeah. But now, even though you're thinking right side, a lot of people's going to associate that with the liver and so forth and parts of the large intestine, small intestine. Yes, that can actually get to the point where it's damaged and it's necrotic and it gangrenes and they do surgery and blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But as long as they have function going, chances are other parts are compensating for it. Yeah.
It's like her shoulder, like her,
Yeah.
it's touching.
So I'm
her.
guessing the actual skeletal muscle that would support are affected.
It has to be because I mean, but she still gets up and she's just on the G tube, and but she takes a lot of medicine and make sure she doesn't constipate and stuff like that.
Yeah, you definitely see that's where you would end up with a situation, especially in like the large intestines, getting gangrened. Yeah, not good.
But
Yeah.
mom
That-
is doing surgery on her again since
I mean, see, and you're
her
gonna.
body looks really crazy though.
Yeah, and no matter how you look at what you're going to go in to do, whether you're looking at going into doing where you just maybe want to work in a GP's office, or if you want to go work in like a cardiac office or whatever the case might be, you are going to encounter patients that are going to have, you know, something that's spinal cord related, the central nervous system related, because it is rather common. So when we end up with something that is going to affect the chain, okay, you are going to find that it affects any parts of the body that it is associated with, okay? Doesn't mean that it stops, okay? Now, in some cases of spinal cord trauma, yes, that entire system could no longer function, okay? It's just going to depend at what level and what area does that chain serve. But don't forget, there's a chain on both sides, okay? So the chain exists on each side. Do you remember reflexes and the skeletal muscle? Okay? Once again, we're talking about muscle. We're talking about our smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. So we've got the gland, we've got the stuff that it's connected to. So now reflexes still occur, they're just termed visceral because we're now in the autonomic system. Once again, they're unconscious, they're automatic, they're stereotyped, meaning it wouldn't be different between you or me. That response is going to be the same. We still have to have a stimulus, we still have to have a receptor, we still have to have an effector, and those are present in this system. It does create a arc. Do you remember the arc that got created through the spinal cord? Okay, for skeletal muscle? Same thing for the viscera. We'll have a receptor. It could be a nerve ending because we are dealing with areas of the body that can expand and recoil. They have the ability for stretch. All right? When you learned about skeletal muscle in part 1, you learned that the reason skeletal muscle moves, we had actin and myosin. Does everybody remember that? The contractile proteins, and on a stimulus, they would do this number. We would contract and we would relax, okay? Actin and myosin exist on our viscera. It's just shaped differently. The actin and the myosin allow for our expansion and recoil. Think about the stomach. The stomach has to expand when we eat. When we breathe, the lungs have to expand. As materials move from the mouth, down the esophagus, into the stomach, through the small intestines, into the large intestines, into the anal canal, everything's got to expand and recoil. These nerve endings, they can detect the stretch that's taking place. If they do, they'll send that information, we'll get a response, and it'll allow the tissue to expand. It can detect tissue damage. We can pick up on the fact that we might have a heart attack. We might pick up on the fact that something is wrong with the gallbladder. Is everybody kind of following me? It picks up on blood chemicals because they have to be monitored very closely. They pick up on body temperature. They're picking up on pain, pressure. They're picking up on just about any stimulus you can think of that could happen to your internal organs.
Does this mean that like allergic reactions are a type of reflex?
No. That is going to be involved in materials that will cross the blood capillaries, and it'll get picked up by usually like a mast cell.